If you're a man over 50 and something feels off, lately your energy dips faster than it used to. Maybe workouts feel harder to recover from. Maybe your motivation isn't as steady as it once was. I want you to stay with me for a few minutes, because what you're about to hear isn't about hype, supplements, or chasing youth. It's about understanding how everyday food choices quietly shape your hormones, especially testosterone. And one of the biggest misunderstandings I see is around fruit. Because most men are told fruit is always healthy. Eat as much as you want, don't worry about it, but the truth is more nuanced. And once you understand it, you can start making decisions that actually work with your body instead of against it. Testosterone doesn't just drop because of age, it drops because the internal environment of the body changes over time, stress goes up, sleep quality goes down, inflammation creeps in, blood sugar becomes less stable, and hormones respond to all of that. So food stops being just fuel and starts acting like information, telling your body whether it's safe to build muscle, maintain strength, and feel confident, or whether it needs to conserve energy and store fat. And fruits sit right in the middle of this conversation because some of them help create a hormonal environment that supports testosterone, while others, especially when eaten the wrong way or excess, slowly push things in the opposite direction. Let's talk first about the fruits that actually work in your favor, not because they're magical, but because of how they support blood flow, nutrient balance, and stress hormones. Starting with pomegranate, which has been around for thousands of years, and is still one of the most researched fruits when it comes to circulation and antioxidant support. And better circulation matters more than most men realize. Because testosterone doesn't operate in isolation, it needs good blood flow to deliver oxygen, nutrients, and hormonal signals throughout the body. And when circulation improves, workouts feel better, recovery improves, and overall vitality follows, and pomegranate helps by reducing oxidative stress, which is one of the silent drivers of hormonal decline as we age. So, a small serving of pomegranate seeds, or a modest glass of pure juice, a few times a week, can quietly support the systems that testosterone depends on. Then there's bananas. And I know some guys dismiss them as basic or too sugary. But here's what matters. Bananas provide vitamin B6, magnesium, and potassium, all of which play roles in muscle function, nerve signaling, and hormone regulation. And one of the biggest testosterone killers in men over 50 isn't age. It's chronic stress, elevated cortisol, and poor recovery. And bananas help regulate cortisol levels while supporting muscle contraction and relaxation, which becomes more important as joints get stiffer and recovery slows down. And when cortisol stays high for too long, testosterone tends to drop. So anything that helps calm that stress response indirectly protects your hormones. Avocados are another fruit that deserves more respect, especially for men who spent years avoiding fats because they were told fat was the enemy. But testosterone is built from cholesterol and dietary fats. And when your diet is too low in healthy fats, hormone production suffers. Avocados provide monounsaturated fats that support hormone synthesis, along with potassium and antioxidants that help manage inflammation. And inflammation is another quiet factor that suppresses testosterone over time. So, including avocado regularly sends a signal to your body that it has the raw materials it needs to maintain hormonal balance. Berries, especially blueberries, strawberries, and blackberries, don't spike testosterone directly, but they play a protective role, and that matters just as much because as men age, oxidative stress and inflammation increase, damaging cells and interfering with hormonal signaling. Berries are loaded with antioxidants that help neutralize that damage, helping preserve what testosterone you already have, and they also support insulin sensitivity, which is closely linked to hormone health. Because when blood sugar is constantly spiking and crashing, testosterone tends to suffer. Now, here's where things get interesting, because the fruits that can work against testosterone aren't evil, they're not forbidden, but they require awareness and restraint. And the first issue is sugar, because while fruit sugar is natural, your body still processes it as sugar. And when intake is too high, especially without enough protein, fiber, or activity, insulin levels rise, fat storage increases, and testosterone often declines, especially in the abdominal area where fat tissue actively converts testosterone into estrogen. Grapes are a good example. They contain beneficial compounds, but they're also very easy to overeat. A handful turns into several handfuls, and suddenly you've taken in a large sugar load without realizing it. And repeated blood sugar spikes over time are associated with lower testosterone and higher inflammation. So grapes aren't a problem. Excess and frequency, our watermelon feels light, refreshing, and harmless, especially in warmer months, but it has a high glycemic load when eaten in large quantities, meaning it can raise blood sugar quickly. And for men over 50 who already have some degree of insulin resistance, this matters because insulin resistance and low testosterone tend to travel together, reinforcing each other, so watermelon needs to be treated as an occasional food, not a daily staple. In large bowls, dried fruits are one of the biggest traps I see. Raisins, dates, dried mango, dried pineapple. They look healthy, they're marketed as natural snacks. But the water has been removed and the sugar is concentrated, making it incredibly easy to consume the sugar equivalent of several pieces of fruit in just a few bites. This constant sugar exposure increases fat storage, especially visceral fat, which actively suppresses testosterone production, so dried fruit should be treated more like candy than fresh fruit. Something you're mindful of. Not something you snack on all day. Canned fruits and syrup are another issue, because not only is the sugar content extremely high, but the nutritional value is often lower. And over time, this kind of intake signals your body to shift toward storage mode, increasing fat accumulation and reducing hormone output. And once that pattern sets in, it becomes harder to reverse without deliberate changes. What I want you to understand is that testosterone health after 50 isn't about one food or one habit. It's about the overall message you're sending to your body every day. Are you telling it that it's safe, supported, and well-nourished? Or are you constantly triggering stress responses through poor sleep, high sugar intake, and chronic inflammation? And fruit choices are just one piece of that message. The goal isn't to eliminate fruit. It's to choose fruit intentionally, pairing it with protein, eating it earlier in the day when insulin sensitivity is higher, and keeping portions realistic. Because when blood sugar stays more stable, testosterone has a better chance to do its job. And when inflammation is lower, hormone signaling improves. Men over 50 often underestimate how powerful small changes can be. Swapping a bowl of dried fruit for fresh berries, adding avocado instead of processed carbs, choosing pomegranate instead of sugary juices. These aren't dramatic moves, but they compound over time. And consistency matters more than intensity, because hormones respond to patterns, not one-time efforts. And this isn't just about numbers on a lab test. It's about how you feel waking up in the morning, how steady your energy is throughout the day, how strong you feel during workouts, how confident you feel in your body. Testosterone influences mood, motivation, muscle retention, bone density, and overall resilience. And when it declines too far, everything feels harder than it should. So instead of chasing quick fixes, focus on building an environment that supports your body. Fruits that nourish rather than overload. Meals that stabilize blood sugar instead of spiking it. Movement that challenges you without breaking you down. Sleep that allows hormones to reset. And stress management that prevents cortisol from running the show. When you approach health this way, testosterone becomes less about fighting age and more about supporting function, and that shift in mindset is powerful because it puts you back in control of your choices, your habits, and your long-term strength. And as you start paying attention to how different foods make you feel, not just in the moment, but hours later and the next day, you begin to notice patterns, better workouts after balanced meals, steadier energy when sugar is moderated, clearer focus when inflammation is lower. And that awareness becomes one of your strongest tools. This is about respecting the body you have now, not punishing it for changing, learning how it responds at the stage of life, and feeding it in a way that supports the man you still are and the strength you want to maintain. Because health after 50 isn't about doing more, it's about doing smarter, stacking small wins, and staying consistent long enough for your body to respond. And when you do that, energy starts to return, confidence rebuilds, and you realize that decline isn't inevitable. It's influenced by daily decisions repeated quietly, day after day, meal after meal, choice after choice, moving forward with intention, awareness, and patience. Paying attention to what truly supports your hormones, your strength, and your sense of control over your own health journey as you continue refining what you eat, how you move, how you recover, and how you show up for yourself each day, knowing that progress doesn't come from extremes, but from understanding, balance, and steady effort applied consistently over time.